title race. History is on the line.
Hello, Pep, you okay? Good, thank you for this, as always. Can I start with a quick one with team news? Nico, O'Reilly and Ruben Diaz, are they likely?
Ruben is not ready still, and Nico is fine.
So that's good and bad news then, essentially. What the ramifications for both of those players either being involved or not for this?
I prefer to be everyone, but during the season always there are players that are injured.
Hi Pep, you've had some incredible title wins here, Centurions, treble, teams that have got 93 points, 91 points, but considering the experience that was lost in the summer and the relatively young squad that you've got, would you class it as one of your greatest achievements if you won the title this season?
No. The greatest has done. For many new players, it's good to be in that position to learn, for all of us, to learn for the future, for the next season, to be there, and especially after many, many years, especially with many, many titles, and being still in the title race a little bit, it's good, really, really good, but it's not the greatest achievement.
And you've mentioned Jurgen Klopp has always been the reference point, but how much has Mikel Arteta pushed you this season? How hard have you had to work to stay in contention?
Absolutely, the last 2-3 seasons. It's already many years there, and every season is getting better and better. So I think we took over the club and was in problems and troubles, and step by step. And of course, last season, Liverpool make an incredible 3/4 of the season that was unstoppable. But the previous one and this season, Arsenal have been the biggest contender.
Hi, Pep. Is this a final?
Yeah, obviously. If we lose, yeah, it's over. But the other two results, knowing that Arsenal didn't win Bournemouth, still have games to play. 6 games is a lot in our calendar, especially. It's terrible. We say in the, Everton away, Bournemouth away, Aston Villa the last game at home. Apart of course Barley's and Crystal Palace and Brentford at home. So Crystal Palace, look what's going on. Aston Villa and Crystal Palace in Europe. So still many things to do.
And can I ask the change of the pressing structure in the League Cup final? Are you intending to?
No, tomorrow I'm going to change again. I'm going to tell you now what we're going to do. I'm going to tell you.
Hi Pep. Earlier this season you said that your team wasn't at the level yet required to win the title. I just wonder, given the performance at Wembley against Liverpool and against Chelsea last week in the second half, do you feel you're at that level now, or do you still need to get even better?
Even better, because you said perfectly in Chelsea second half. And the first was not bad, but not the first 30 minutes against Liverpool was not good neither. So the first 30 minutes, the final against Arsenal, they were better. For the last 15 in the second half, we were better. So still we are not completely, but it's normal. And on the other side, they cannot pretend against Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea in this time of teams being 95, 96 minutes all the time perfect. But of course, there is one aspect is not about the future, the present, the past. Is how's the confidence. Is an incredible, aspect. All the managers you could buy in a supermarket, the confidence will go there and will buy, immediately. Because that is one of the most important aspects, and of course the results help us. But the reality is that, 7 games left for us and in the Premier League, and that is the decisive moment.
Even though Alex knew him very well personally, obviously he meant a lot to the club.
Yeah.
Here, just some reaction from the club to the sad news this week.
Well, some very sad news, obviously. So we want to send Alex, his family, everybody that was part of his journey in his life, our condolences and our love, obviously, because it was shocking news and difficult one to take.
Obviously, it puts everything into perspective, but we have got a big football match now
Mm-hmm.
to talk about. And in terms of any injury updates, I guess the one we have had an update on recently was Nani, who came off
Yeah.
on Wednesday. Looked like a knee problem. How's he?
Well, we have another training session tomorrow, so it didn't look that bad after the game, and he was quite positive. He's a player that pushes through pain, so I'm hopeful that he can be available, but we have to wait and see if he's able to train tomorrow.
With Bukayo obviously also a last-minute decision, could you have potentially a problem on the right-hand side?
We'll have a solution. So whatever happens, we are so used to this decision, unfortunately, for various reasons. So whatever happens, we'll have the right solution there.
And the other three I haven't mentioned, Martin Odegaard, Jurriën Timber, Ricardo Calafiori, any update on those?
Yeah, we will try again. Some players are quite close, but yeah, the turnaround is short, so we will try tomorrow to push everybody, and if they're in good condition, they will be part of us, and if not, they won't. They haven't been in the last few weeks, unfortunately.
So you're not ruling any of those out, definitely?
Bukayo is out, that's for sure.
Oh,
The rest, let's see.
just to clarify, Mikel Arteta still a little bit away.
Out as well, yeah.
Just a reflection, really, on a great week in terms of reaching a semi-final of the Champions League. Second time we've done that in 2 seasons. Only one of the teams in England, 6 teams, to go that far. That must have given a boost around the place.
It was a great night. It really gave us a boost because to be part of those top best European clubs is a big thing. And we haven't been that often there, so we really value what we did. We give huge credit to the players for what they've done. And that has to use that fuel, that energy that gave us for Sunday, for the big game that we have to play.
That fuel, that energy, that fire that you were speaking about, fire not fear. And was there a little symbol of a fire, a little fire started in the training ground just to kind of illustrate what you were talking about this week?
Every game we use different themes to try to prepare the game in the best possible way, and that depends on what we do.
Is it your idea, the players?
The best ones are the players' initiatives. That's the ones I love the most.
This game is obviously a massive game. That's why there's so many here. Where does it sit for you, though, in terms of the massive games that you've already been in charge of with Arsenal's Champions League semi-finals, etc.? Is this the biggest game, potentially, that you've
It's certainly the most important one because it's the next one. So we have earned the right to be in this position, to be challenging, and with the possibility to win and the opportunity to win on Sunday, arguably against the best team and the best manager that this league has ever seen. And that's a huge privilege, and we cannot wait to play the game. We're going to prepare the game to win it, that's for sure. And we see that as a big opportunity for us.
Play the game.
League title on the line. I don't think it's dramatic to say that. Have you ever played in a game like this? What will the players be feeling now in the last 48 hours building up to it?
Yeah, two moments, of course, when I was at Chelsea, but also the time when I was at Ajax. When you became champions with Chelsea, you just were one off. But the preparation is different. When you chase someone, it's different than when you're leading it. Because when you're leading it, you're looking over your shoulder. The comfort zone, I think, going after someone is always easier. It's almost like driving a car, right? You're going after the person and you're going. But I'm just saying,
So which squad would you rather be in, Arsenal or City?
I think the chase gives me more energy, especially if I'm not in the Champions League anymore.
Aren't the points in the bag better than actually having to chase?
It depends also where your team is, what kind of comfort zone you're in. Like how City is right now, I feel like it's happening now for them. So that's why it's great. You understand? For City to go now, it's the timing is right for them. When you look at Arsenal, it's like they had that shake-up, and the question is there for them. It's like even I have a question to say, I like that team, but are you guys ready to really show us that you are ready? And that's the question that everybody has probably.
Because Manchester City are the masters of the overtake. They have perfected this, and what they have is that they've been there before and they've done it and they know how to do it. I remember we talked to Mark Gahey after one game and he said everything is just so calm.
Absolutely. And that's the most significant player, because we're going to spend a lot of time talking about individual players, but the most significant person in this City dressing room is Guardiola. Because Guardiola, attitude reflects the leadership. And he's been there so many times. He has that belief. He should be training racehorses because he knows how to get players to peak at exactly the right time of the season.
Yeah.
And the narrative going into this fixture is that Arsenal have form over the last few years for losing the lead, and City have form for regaining the lead just at the right time when everybody's written them off. It has been insane this season when people have said at the start of February, at the start of March, and even a few weeks ago, that the league is done. It's insane. We've all watched way too much football for that to have been.
Yeah, but he's also clever. If you look at Pep, the way he talks, we have to look at him the way he talks. He knows him very well. Okay, you have the friendship between them two, right? And the friendship became less because when you're competing with each other, it's like playing against a friend in a team, right? The moment when I go in the tunnel, I'm not your friend anymore. You understand? When the whistle is finished, oh man, you're my best. I hug you like I'm your friend. They have the same thing. But one of the key things is that Pep, his talk before he started, you understand? It's like, you know, you can look at the record and how the games are going, you know, between them. But the key thing is what Pep said, it's a final. Why does he call it a final for them? Why? Because he knows, my team knows how to handle finals. Does your team knows how to handle finals? And that's what he's doing. He's not triggering himself. He's triggering, making sure he puts more heat on Arsenal and seeing if, guys, are you capable of to compete with my team? Because my team knows how to handle finals.
He's absolutely right.
What we were showing there was their record in April. Statistically, literally Arsenal's worst month, 40%. And Man City, Arsenal's is 42, Man City's nearly double.
Absolutely, and this is the point I'm making about Guardiola knowing how to get his players to peak at the right time. And then eventually what happens, and you know this from your club, look at these numbers here. 31 games played in April, and 1 in April out of the 39 games played. These guys peak at the right time. And even the games that they don't win, they draw. Only 3 of those games have been lost. And compare that to the Arsenal numbers, which are far, far inferior. And I remember your old club, not old team, but old club Chelsea. Terry, Ivanovic, Cech, Lampard, Warriors, Drogba. Eventually, these guys managed themselves because they knew when to take the lead, the onus, the momentum, and they relished the big battles and the fights. But if you look at Arsenal's form, they've lost 3 of the last 5, I should say, including the League Cup final against Manchester City. They know how to win finals.
Yeah, but that's why I say it. You know, like the key thing is also when you walk into a dressing room, you have to make sure that you're facing people that can carry you through whatever you're going through. And at that time, you understand, we're talking about, if I go back in my time, it was like I open the door, I see only World Cup winners. So I'm going like, so Didier Deschamps, Desailly, I'm like, what the hell? You know, you're coming as a young boy, you're like, okay. So that doesn't mean that every team needs to have that. The only thing is like, now it's the crucial moment for them to say, like, I can't give an example, you know, Rice, they brought him to that team to make that difference. I don't want to put it only on him, but those are the key things, like Saka, you know, even if you're a young boy, still, this is the moment, you understand? Gabriel, all those guys, you understand? You want to make sure that the core of the team are also the...
And he's given them that vision and leadership. Kusanov alongside him has provided the speed and the ability to be able to cut other players out when there have been problems. And I think this footage here is a really good example of Kusanov's improvement, because when you look at mistakes he was making early on, look at this. He's going to make a pass here. He's going to misplace that pass and set Manchester United up inadvertently for an opportunity. OK, they don't score. But now look at the difference in his distribution and his ability to cut balls out that are played in or attempted by the opposition. There's so much more confidence about his game, and this is going to be particularly significant when he's trying to snuff out the threat from an Arsenal side that are going to need to go to the Etihad and build attacks. Mario.
He was protected by, you know, you highlight something. I was in the beginning when Kusanov started in the team. I was at the stadium watching him, you understand, against Man U. And I saw his, like in the beginning, he kicked off with a mistake. Straight away, what you highlighted, he kicked off with a mistake. But one of the key things is actually the player that we are, you know, we talked about the leaving Silva. You know how much people sometimes don't realize what his job is. Not only his job is his smartness of playing. He started to play next to him. Why did he play next to him? He took all the pressure away from him and started taking on the ball. He did that so well, Silva, and people maybe underestimated what he is really means for that team. He took the pressure away, started playing next to him and asking him every ball he had, because he saw that Kusanov was his confidence was gone. So he was like, give me the ball, I do the rest. But make sure you have an angle for me, so if I get in trouble, I got to use you. But when he was doing that, it was so beautiful to see.
Is that the kind of leadership that only comes from winners, people who know how to cope with that?
I think when you come new to a team, you need someone in your team. Actually, it's not, even if we don't talk about football, we talk about life. You want someone that's looking out for you. Silva was looking out for him. Came in to give me the ball, I help you out and take the ease of him. And look at him now, how he's performing now.
That's why I work for Julia.
Jules, you see that? Make it easy.
No, she looks after me. She takes all the pressure off me.
It's not true, guys.
It's true. That's why when they asked me to come back, I said, who is here? Who's here? I said, who's here? I said, you are here? Okay. You are here? Okay, I'm coming.
Guys, can you write this in my bio, in my CV?
Okay, I will.
Manchester City's attacking options. Haaland, Doku, Semenyo, Foden, Shirky, who's the creative outlet. You can't say the same about Arsenal right now.
Yes, but that's why, you understand, the creativity of a manager is finding the things that others don't see, right? And what happens to for example, Gyökeres, right? The new player that comes in, everybody talks about him. What the key thing is going to be for him is moments like this, when your team is looking for you, it's going to be games like this. And look, when we talked about Haaland, remember everybody was complaining, the guy goes to score a hat-trick. This is the same for him, you understand? There has to be a moment when we are struggling to find occasions. You need moments that your striker stands up and saying like, hey guys, don't worry, I got you. But one of the things what I saw City change, and it was against my older team, it was against Chelsea, the way they were complaining about only using the left-hand side, then they balance it out. If Arsenal can do that, when people are complaining about him, he stands up and scores. Hey, if the man keeps on scoring and scores the important goal, that is what football is about.
I think that they need to devise a game plan that channels everything through him. Because they don't have Saka, they may not have Madueke. They can't rely on a goal supply from down the left. So let's devise a game plan that gets the best out of him. I think he's got 19 goals so far this season. What he suffered from, for my money, and I know you played in a side that was constructed to get goals for Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink when you're at Chelsea. And but he has suffered, Gyökeres, from playing in a side that isn't designed to play the way his former club played, Sporting, where they supplied all the ammunition for him. But I think if they do that in this game, it gives them a chance. There are not enough players in the Arsenal team that score as many goals as his. His goal return in a debut season is up there with the very best.
But you know how it works, right? You also got to demand that. You can only do that by delivering. And sometimes strikers are not always the nicest guys. Because when you're on the field with them, look, away from the human is the great guy. But the guy that's on the field can become, I don't want to call them animals, but something like that, you know? They're going to be like, hey, give me the ball. And if you don't give it, get upset. It's a good thing. He said, I'm playing because I got to score. So you got to make sure you don't concede. That's my job, but you got to score and then give me the ball.
Darren, I want to talk about the mentality of Arsenal, though, because very quickly before we go, they don't necessarily need the win, but if they go to the Etihad and play for a draw, that could have disaster.
Oh, yeah, they'll get smoked if they try and do that. I think at the Etihad, Arsenal need to go with the mentality that they're going to take the game to City. If they try to park the bus, City will love that, because it will just be 90 minutes of challenging City to break them down. And they have so much creativity in that forward line. And behind them, Cherki has been absolutely outstanding so far this season. The pressure going into this game is all on Arsenal, precisely because of what we can see here. Led into 2022, finished second. Each time they were favourites to do something like last season. You know, I mean, listen, they finished second in a one-horse race because no one expected Liverpool to win it. And everyone expected it to be their year because City weren't in the race. And now, this time around, I would contend there is a lot of digital pressure on them because of the way that there are so many content creators who are Arsenal fans. There are so many big, important, I have to say, voices who are Arsenal fans. There's a lot of pressure going into them. I think all of the relaxation, if you want, I want to find a better word, I should do as a journalist, but I'm probably going to go with that one. I'll just say this, City can chill.
Yeah. There'll be a big hate watch on Sunday. I get what
This game on Sunday, is it the game of your life, the biggest game you've ever played in?
I think it's a big game, of course, but we are comfortable, we are relaxed, we just need to have a good mentality to go there. And like I said before, we go there to get the 3 points. This is the more important.
How tough will it be? How big a challenge do you face on Sunday?
We know it's going to be a really difficult game. We know we play against a good team, but as well we are winners. So yeah, of course we go there to get the 3 points.
Do you almost have to think about the journey you've been on to get to this point where you have the chance to be a Premier League champion?
As like I say, we need to enjoy. We need to enjoy this kind of games, and yeah, I think we know which game we want to play on Sunday. We know how tough it's gonna be, but I think we need to relax and we are ready to go.
Looking forward to seeing Erling Haaland?
Yeah, of course. Like I say, I want to play against big players, and that's why I'm here. So, of course, Sunday's going to be a big battle.
What have the last few weeks been like for Arsenal? Does it feel like it's been tougher? And when you're on the inside, do you hear the noise from everyone else?
You don't need to hear the noise outside. They say whatever they want. You just need to focus on us and focus on the game, which game we want to play, and enjoy this moment. It's a beautiful moment for us. I want to win, of course, with Arsenal, with my teammates, of course, and yeah, it's just like I say, we want to enjoy this moment.
Do you really believe? You still really believe that this team can do it this season?
I'm always believe.
And would that be maybe a message to the fans? You need them to believe as well?
Yeah, of course. We know they are behind us, and just need to enjoy this kind of games. And of course, we go there on Sunday to get the 3 points.
Good man. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, we've got some Hollywood glamour for you on Premier League Friday tonight. Yes, Alan Pardew and Michael Brown are here, but I'm also delighted to say award-winning actor and Arsenal fan Tom Hiddleston has joined us in the studio. Tom, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
For making time to come into the show. I know you're a big fan. But Tom, how are you, as an Arsenal fan, feeling about the game on Sunday?
I'm excited.
Yeah?
I'm excited, yeah.
I'm an Arsenal fan too, you know, but I'm trying to live off that energy. What is it that...
Oh, I just, you know, we say in the... This is why I should... Disclaimer.
Yeah.
I am an actor.
Yeah.
So I have no credentials as a commentator on professional football. I have no previous form in elite sport.
Yeah.
I learn lines and try not to bump into the furniture for a living.
Yeah.
So I'm only an amateur, and anything I say should be taken with a pinch of salt.
Of course.
Here's what I will say.
Go on. Yes.
Now that I've done my disclaimer.
Yeah.
In the theatre, we talk about nerves all the time, and on film sets. And actually, the chemical that you produce when you're nervous is the same chemical you produce when you're excited. And so I choose to say I'm excited. Like, I think this moment for these two teams, I would say, is a moment they'll look back on for the next 3 decades as the most alive they ever felt. Like, perhaps you've been talking about this, you said in the break, guys, pressure is a privilege. And if you're feeling any pressure or the weight of expectation, you are breathing rare air that very few of us get to live inside. And I think that's something to really, for the Arsenal squad, I think that's something that I hope they can take in. Yeah. What a privilege to be the league leaders. What a privilege to be the only English side still in the Champions League. What a privilege to have Manchester City, managed by Pep Guardiola, to be chasing you. Like,
Mikel's going to show this.
I know, gosh,
you might be in the dressing room on Sunday.
Yeah.
Well, I'll await the call from Mikel.
We should have put in that managers' competition. We should have done well.
But it is, you know, and it's a quotation, actually. You probably know this, and maybe you know this as sports fans. In different sport, but at the Arthur Ashe Stadium in New York, where they play tennis, they play the US Open, the last thing the players see is a plaque of Billie Jean King saying exactly that thing. Pressure is a privilege. And it's something I just hope they can all enjoy it. Like, win, lose or draw. It's an amazing moment this weekend. Yeah. Biggest football match in years.
Whenever I've been involved in big games, you usually find there's not a lot of nerves around in the dressing room. There's a lot of determination and kind of thriving on the pressure, because throughout their careers, maybe as actors as well, but footballers are always under pressure. You're under pressure to get out of the academy. You're under pressure to get the first contract. It's part and parcel of how your makeup.
Yeah.
So you have to use all that experience to be ready for Sunday. I mean, this game in their careers, as Tom quite rightly says, is one of the biggest games of their careers for sure. So, you need to deliver.
I feel like I'm going to be behind the sofa going, I choose to be excited.
You should.
Tom, just quickly on yourself, growing up as an Arsenal fan, I mean, who were your heroes? What were your first memories of Arsenal?
My heroes, I go back to Thierry Henry and Dennis Bergkamp, David Seaman, Vieira, like that whole team. It was really in the mid-90s I kind of came online to football.
Yeah.
And I think I said before, like Euro 96 was when I was like, oh wow, football's a national community. And we're all invited to the party. It was that tournament I kind of was like, this is fun. And it's remained that way. And then I moved to North London to train as an actor and lived in Kentish Town and Archway, and you can't live there and not be aware of Arsenal and that period. It was the Wenger period was like another golden era, and what he did for the club, what he did for football, the way they all talk about it now, those great legends of the game at that time, that he arrived with a new attitude to training, to nutrition, to mentality, to being in a team. But yeah, watching those players, watching Henry, he just used to like dazzle. The way he ran, the way he turned, the way he scored, it was amazing to witness.
I saw an interview recently, and Eze was saying that he would watch videos of the 2006 Arsenal side, or some of that era that you're talking about. Do you think sometimes you look at the team that Arsenal have now, do they lack some of that leadership, or is it necessarily belief that they could go out there?
I think they have it.
You think they have that already?
You look at Real Madrid last year.
Yeah.
Belief and extraordinary presence in the moment from a player like Declan Rice. You look at the North London derby, and Eze puts his hat trick in. But that's just flow, belief. Look at the way they've been playing recently or early on in the season. Look at that defence. Look at Saliba and Gabriel, best defence in the league.
Do you think, as an actor as well, we were talking about pressure and it's a privilege. Do you think, if you step out onto a stage or in front of a camera, do you think sometimes being able to manage pressure, regardless of sometimes your talent, is that the secret sauce almost?
But and I think you only learn how to manage it by being under it. There's no manual. There's no exam you can take in pressure. There's no none of these players have been in this situation before. That's exciting, and this weekend will be transformative for all of them. Whatever happens, it'll be they'll learn something new, even though they've played so much football. Again, disclaimer: I'm just an actor,
but
not
totally.
a footballer.
Is this it though for Arsenal now? Do you know, if it doesn't happen, do you know? I think that's where it's hanging over now. The concern, the manager and the group. To how it knocks them.
I don't know though. You could say that about England. France at the World Cup last time. There are winners in that team. Harry Kane's a winner, and I don't think it is it. I think lots of these players are champions already. The rest is just statistics.
Ooh. The rest is just statistics.
I think that. Have you got any more?
No, I haven't got any more statistics, no.
I think Arsenal really are looking on Sunday for an offensive player to come to the fore. And we looked at those stats for April, and it wasn't particularly good for Arsenal. The person who has unbelievable stats for April is Eze.
Yes.
He always comes to the fore. And I think he could be the key player for Arsenal on Sunday.
How, as a manager, how do you alleviate pressure, regardless of, I know earlier you were saying, I was never fighting for the championship, but there's always moments in a season where the walls feel like they're closing in. How do you begin to alleviate that?
I mean, obviously, in the dressing room, you're lightening the mood a little bit. And sometimes it's masseurs, it might be the physio, there might be someone in that dressing room who kind of just breathes some freedom into the group. Because you're all very tense, and you're all ready to go. So, and it is about, there's a balance, and I always go back to Paul Gascoigne in the cup final when he got that terrible injury.
Yeah.
There is a balance between being overhyped and being able to be in control of your performance. And that's what, as manager, I was always trying to get in the dressing room. But when we went out, there was enough kind of fight and focus, but also, got to be able to have some freedom in your play.
Do you think, Michael, as a player as well, are the players going to be looking to the manager to alleviate that pressure? Is it on them? Have they got to dig deep?
Do you know what's amazing? Like, in the last few seasons, I've spent a lot of time, as you know, covering City, and I've just seen how relaxed. Do you know how focused they are? This is in the stride. This is the biggest game, whether it be a Champions League, whether it be a title, winning one right at the last day of the season. Relaxed, focused, can still smile, and that's possibly the difference. So the manager gives them the information, but I think we're talking about the top end players here. That's what they wake up to do. That's what they said. The games, like you said about focus in the dressing room, they just stood there going, right, this is it. This is what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So I think the manager and the tactics could be something where they go, right, not sure about that bit of it, but after that, I think you can do all you want. And I think a calming influence in the dressing room is important just before, as the build up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I say? Not to make poor decisions.
It's such a tricky one because, Tom, we've been to games together.
Yeah.
When you go to the Emirates now, there is that anxiety.
Did you have to put up with him? What was he like?
Yeah.
I was like this.
I hope you won.
Don't be afraid. It's excitement. We did. We went 3-0.
But you feel that anxiety in the stadium.
And that's it's something I do feel familiar with. I think it's a combination of so many things. I mean, in the world that I'm in, we have to, we have to execute at a very high level in our particular way. And actually what keeps me calm is routine. And I imagine that you just have your routines and actually that you do what you normally do on any given day. But I found this is just a personal thing. I wake up in the morning and it helps me to say, this is a big day. If I try and ignore that it's a big day, then I feel the big day start to overtake me.
Yeah.
I like to know it's a big moment and then run up and meet the moment. And I get that gives me energy.
What is your big day?
Oh, it could
what's
be.
your big day then?
Well, it could
Do you know
be
when you're saying about this final?
Yeah.
What's in your final? Like, what's the day that you've woke up and gone, this is...
There have been days on set where you think, this scene is one of the biggest scenes in the film. Maybe you have to have a big emotional moment where a strong character breaks down for the first and only time. And it's a pivotal scene, it changes the nature of the story, or logistically there's some enormous, there's a stunt you have to do.
Yeah.
And again, that's a physical thing, and that's actually easier to deal with because you feel like a physical movement is something you can be more precise and controlled about, whereas an emotional thing, you're having to sort of prepare yourself to let go. Yeah. Opening night on stage is always a big night. It's, everyone always goes, oh, it's just another night at the theatre. It just so happens that the nation's press are in the audience.
Yeah.
But I get excited by it. I really do. I like to know this is a big moment, a big day. Actually, to answer your question, I remember, this is years ago now, but when I first played Loki in the first Avengers film, the last actor to have been the antagonist in a superhero movie was Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight. Okay. And I remember thinking, this is actually a big opportunity and only I can mess this up. But I relished it. It made me get up an hour earlier in the morning. It made me train harder. I was obsessed. People would say, we're having a barbecue this weekend. Can't come.
Yeah.
This is what I'm doing now. And I look back on that period of my life as a period where I felt intensely alive and grateful for. I'm grateful for that pressure.
Yeah.
This game, I tell you, for all these players, 10 years' time, 20 years' time, 30 years' time, they'll all look back and be like, wow, I was there.
Yeah.
I was at the peak of my powers. I was at the peak of my career. And I won.
Yeah, and you won, exactly. Alan, Michael, I'll ask you guys this question, because I think it'd be wrong for it to kind of come from Tom necessarily as an Arsenal fan. Do you think this game benefits Arsenal or hinders them that it's not at the Emirates?
I think it's worse for them. I think that's for certain because of what Pep can do.
Yeah.
At the Etihad, the home games, the run results that they've had for such a long period of time. I understand your point regards to that fan pressure that's been put forward to them. I don't necessarily agree with how much of that is happening as a player, me being on the other side of it. I think that needs to cool down. I think it's been made a lot worse than it needs to be.
Sure.
And that's not helping the situation. I think we all see that. Regards to fans as well, they're entitled to come forward and say that. That's up to them. But I just feel like the pressure's all on them now. Do you know, I feel like if they don't go and get something from this game, and I do believe they can, I believe they've got some great players, a system that can be hard to beat. It could be really one of those where they keep a clean sheet and just sit in and wait. But it's a massive moment. I think it's a swing point now for the whole football club, because the fans are starting to have a little bit of development. What will happen next with the manager, the players? It's almost like it's here and now, and we're going to have to replace and try something different.
Yeah.
Pep's not going to be there forever. Do you know, and sometimes for me, sort of, you know, we stick with what you've got. I don't know if you agree, Alan.
I just think that for Arsenal, it's a really tough game because of the cup final. Firstly, it's away from home. You're playing against a team that is really in form, and particularly their offensive line. Your defence is going to be essential, of course, but you're going to need to score. I can't sense Pep Guardiola's team not scoring on Sunday. So you need to score, and I think that mentality might not be a bad thing for Arsenal. We got to get a goal. We got to get 2 goals, maybe.
They got goal scorers in there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
they've got
it. Okay. Well, look, Tom, you're staying with us until around 6:30.
What you're living at the moment, being involved in a really tight title race against the team that's probably been the biggest rival during your time at City, and about to play in, you know, maybe the biggest Premier League game we've seen in a good few years.
I mean, it's nice. It's always nice to be in this situation towards the end of the season. Right now, I'm quite calm. There's 1 game a week, which is really unusual for us. It barely happens. So honestly, I don't feel a lot of nerves or anything, because, I mean, we've been chasing all season and we've got nothing to lose. So I don't have any pressure, honestly.
Do you think pressure? I mean, they've been top for over 200 days. Do you know how long you've been top this season?
No.
6 days. So do you think there's a pressure that comes with that, having been, as they have, the front runner all season long?
I don't know. You have to ask them if they feel the pressure. I cannot talk about them. I can talk about myself mostly, and with myself, I don't feel loads of pressure, because we're still far behind, and that's the reality.
Does this title race remind you of the previous 2 titles that you've won? In both instances, you've gone into April chasing, and then obviously, come the end of May, you've been champions.
No, I think every kind of season is different, no matter what happens. It's true. We haven't been. I don't know the other season how much we've been in the first place. But in the end, it doesn't really matter how. It doesn't matter how many days or whatever. It matters
38 games where you are.
Exactly.
Oh, I said that this is probably the rivalry of your time at City. Do you agree with that?
For me, yeah. It's Arsenal, because they've been fighting against us for many years, and they've been up there ever since I came to the club. I mean, Liverpool's also been up there, and they also won it last year. So let's not forget them. But Arsenal's been stable and been good for the last, since I came to the club.
Would you agree it's a rivalry that's got a bit of an edge? You particularly think about the games last season, the 2-2. You're obviously right at the heart of that, and then the game at their place last season.
I don't know if there's any friction. They want to win. We want to win. And yeah, in the end, it's nice. And it's always good to play against the best teams. They are in the semi-final of the Champions League. That means they're one of the best teams in Europe. They're the first place in Premier League. They've been that the whole season.
I'd said Sunday's one of the biggest Premier League games that, certainly in the last few years. Do you think it's decisive, Sunday? I mean, it's obviously difficult to measure, but how big do you think it is?
No, it's a massive game without doubt.
Yeah. Not one you can play down. No need to.
We all know that. We all know the importance of this game. It's like a final. Like last weekend was against Chelsea. It was a final as well. Let's be honest and say that. And we have a final every single weekend now for the next, I don't know, 6 weeks. So it's a massive game. It's probably the best, the biggest and the best game it will be. So hopefully it can be an amazing game.
Erling Haaland talking to Pat Davison there. Pat, I'm going to come to you first because all season you've been telling me, don't worry, Arsenal are going to get it over the line, all this type of stuff. Look, I'm as nervous as anything. I almost feel like I can't watch. But look, let's boil this down. Does the winner on Sunday, in your opinion, do you think they go on and win the league? Is it that defining?
Well, when we go back to the cup final, the Carrera Cup, and we said, you know, that is going to be such a psychological blow to the team that wins it, you know. So they're armed with that going into this game, and I think Arsenal's self-belief, their kind of oomph, has deserted them. Yeah. And you guys, and I'm talking about Arsenal, are losing the plot a little bit, and it's difficult. I think, you know, if you was a betting man, you'd have to say Man City are odds-on favourites to win it, but Arsenal still carry some great weapons, and then they come to the fore. I think, you know, when you look at a group of players, you know, we're talking about some big characters in that dressing room. Arsenal, they've got to now come up. There's no hiding place. This is the time to deliver.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's going to be a great watch. I can't wait to see it.
Those characters for you, obviously, there's going to be no Bukayo Saka. Mikel Arteta has mentioned that today. But are they the Declan Rices? Are they the Gabriel Salibas?
Yeah. You know, that kind of leadership in that dressing room to drive people on and maybe get a little bit more out of that offensive line. I mean, the offensive line is falling down in terms of the quality and the numbers that you need to go and to produce a victory at Manchester City. So you're going to need that extra bit of fight and spirit in that dressing room and resilience. You know, because I think a draw would be a great result for Arsenal.
On the flip side, looking at Man City, Michael, let's talk about Erling Haaland's form. We saw him chatting about it there, and you know, he realises how big of a game this is, and he's someone that can have a huge impact on it. I got some stats though, based on his first half of the season and his second half of the season. We can see their first 17 games, 19 goals, 77 minutes per goal. In comparison to the last 13 Premier League games, he's got 347 minutes per goal there. I mean, what have you kind of made of him in the second half of the season? Is this a trend that happens to him?
See what you're doing now. You're trying to add a little bit of pressure. Haaland, he doesn't feel.
I'm just saying what's in front of me.
He doesn't
stats.
feel pressure. You produce stats on him. Be very, very careful. I mean, only recently, he just keeps doing it. Every time someone says, right, he's had a barren spell, he's not scored for a couple of weeks, up jumps a hat-trick.
Yeah, Liverpool.
He's always around it, and at big occasions, he'll want to do well. We know the rivalry with Gabriel. It's a brilliant watch, isn't it? And I feel like he will not only want to score, he'll want to affect the game a little bit more. And I think that's something that they've been working on, improvements all around. I think that's so important for Pep Guardiola. It's not just you're performing well, it's how do we keep improving, what is next. And we've seen some different combinations where Erling's had to move out of that 9 area, slightly wider. Is it long balls on the diagonal, little 2v1s in wider areas?
Yeah.
We've seen Ryan Cherky, we've seen Semenyo, and that's where they've been capitalising. Even Rodri's been released to go and jump forward, and that's something City have been working on. So it's trying to get some more support to Erling.
Yeah, and I guess what, on Pards' point as well, talking about the Carabao Cup final, do you agree with Alan? Like, that was such a psychological, we thought it would be such a psychological blow, and it kind of is showing a little bit. Do you feel like, on the flip side, City have really gained in momentum since that game?
100%. I feel they have always been capable of doing it. I think people have sort of said, right, they're back.
Yeah.
I've heard that a few times, and really the consistency, especially away from home, hasn't been there. This boy's really, really stepped up from left back into midfield, getting into goal-scoring positions. But I don't know, it's still a consistency issue that he's got to improve on. But psychologically, you say about Arsenal, and I think to be fair to Arsenal, they did well in the first half. They had much more control than you would have expected.
Yeah.
City struggled, had a little look, and then they adapted, then they changed. And once that goal went in, yes, it was a mistake. And I think that changes everything. So I don't think these Arsenal fans should be too critical. I know we are at the moment, and it's getting edgy, but I feel like it's creating a tension that's not necessarily needed. They done them with a few little moves and a few little tactical differences, I feel, in the final. Arteta can do that. I think he's got the ability to change when he when really he should.
Yeah.
And he isn't always doing it. I think that's the point, as the Arsenal fans are saying, in regards to attacking positions.
Okay, well, on the flip side, Pep Guardiola, well, he knows what it takes to win the title, and he told us today that he thinks the title race could go down to the final day as long as his side avoid defeat on Sunday.
It's okay, it's gone, but yeah, I think the Premier League is so demanding, so tough. It's really tough, and at the end we learned for many years, because we won many Premier Leagues in the last game of the season. The Premier League is over until it's over. 9 points behind Arsenal, 1 game in hand, and just 5 games left. Arsenal, wow, will make the other step until 22 years old, but in that position, especially the result in Bournemouth, of course, if we don't win the game, we don't lose the game, still it's on, because of course the distance was 3 points and it's not big, you know, because we have an incredible calendar. So that's why I'm thinking, okay, play that game. It's not 1 game left or 2 games left. Still having 6 games to play and 18 points in the Premier League with these rivals. I'm sorry, it's a lot. Many things happen. So the fact that they drop points, Arsenal, make it still, whatever happened tomorrow, if we don't lose, still you have a chance.
Okay, so he's always putting the pressure on himself there. If we don't lose, this is it. I mean, there is one thing that I find absolutely fascinating, and both of you, you know, are in such a great position to be able to talk to us about this. The stats on Pep Guardiola versus Mikel Arteta in specifically the month of April. Right? Now, they are quite telling in the fact that Arsenal and Mikel Arteta, they can't do it, seemingly, in April. I mean, take a look at this. 26 games in total in April for Mikel Arteta's Arsenal, with 11 wins, in comparison to Pep's 39 and 31 wins, 8 defeats in comparison to 3. Alan, any thought process behind this? Is it how you get a team to this point?
Well, it definitely, you know, marks you as a manager in terms of this is the crunch time of the season. April is your month. You know, this is when the semi-finals are. These are the big league games. These are the games you must win. And of course, that record, unfortunately for Arsenal, doesn't look good. I mean, Pep's a master of getting his side into the groove. And what you were talking about him in the press there is typical Pep for me. That you know, he's playing it down. We're the underdogs. You know, we've been chasing all year. They're the great side, Arsenal. In his real mind, he knows his team is ready to go, and they're in a great place.
Yeah.
Just going back to Haaland, I think he's struggled a little bit since Semenyo's gone there, and sometimes when you watch Semenyo play, he always he's looking for goals, and obviously his goal tally is good. And that assists from that side, I think, is a little bit of an issue for Erling. I've seen him shrug at him a couple of times in games.
Yeah, he's not slid him in, has he?
That's right.
He's not slid him in where he has the ability to go with both sides, where he feels like I'm in a good position to go and score. And I think that's the point where it leaves him a bit of a straight. But it's fascinating with the two managers.
Yeah.
And you say, well, starts and why is it in April? But to be fair, I keep trying to defend Mikel Arteta because I just think he's got Arsenal into an incredible position, great return of points each season, a great side, but he's come up against Pep. And he's come up against that team. And unfortunately,
he's the greatest manager of all time, in my opinion. Yeah.
And that's also built the pressure when we get to April. If they had a couple over the line, they'd be in a much more relaxed position.
This particular April, I think he's been a slight, you know, he's been unlucky with injuries. Or, you know, Saka being out in particular.
But the squad depth was the thing in the beginning. That
it was. But of course, you still want your best players on the pitch for those big games. And so I feel for him a little bit in this fixture.
Do you think, Michael, you watch so much of City and obviously you see them at this stage of the season. What do you think is that secret sauce that he gets right? From a fan on the outside, from a you know, an opposing fan on the outside, sometimes it feels like for the first half of the season, you don't know the starting 11 of Man City. And then after January, it's almost like the players grow into this confidence thinking, I'm a starter.
And he starts to get a more continuity in that 11, you would say. But I feel like the tactics that he has, do you know, he's able to tell them what's going to happen, to change mid-game, already forecast for it. They've already got the tools, they already understand what to do. Because that's over the season, he's developed that into their playing style. And at the start of the season, he always starts with something different.
Yeah.
we've seen the full-backs, we've seen the little bounce passes, we've seen centre-backs driving to it. We've seen so many different things. The wide players stayed out. We've seen narrows, we've seen false nines, we've seen, you know, the whole lot. But then over a period, he then gets to work out where everybody is, where they need to be, and he just picks them off. And that is the difference. And he's got some really good players. And he's got some players that really, you would say, wouldn't be in a title-winning team.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Right.
But he still finds, you know, a collective. You wouldn't say every one of those players would play at the top club, would you?
I understand your point,
I think that's how he does it. His teams just get in the drive. And I feel like he gives them I don't know, he's just so cool and calm because he's done it so many times.
Well, let's take a look at these remaining fixtures that both sides have got left. Michael, we were chatting just briefly before we came on air about players saying that they don't look at the fixtures, they don't think about it. If you're an Arsenal player or a Man City player, what are you thinking? Are you taking a look and thinking, we can get that?
Do you know, it's just it's one of the things we were speaking before, like you're sort of going, well, they don't always know when they're playing. Do you know, they say, well, when is that game? Is it rearranged? Are they not look? Or is this to try and be cool that they're really not that interested? But when it's a Champions League, when it's later stages and it's a Real Madrid, they seem to know exactly what day it was.
Yeah.
Exactly. But in the Premier League, which is what's been so important for the manager, Pep always puts the Premier League first. So I think the players are aware of it now. They're starting to get to this stage of the season where they're looking and sort of going, right, this is it. We need Arsenal to go and drop a few here and there. I cannot believe that City have got a chance of winning this league. It should have been done. When they kept dropping points, it was they'd give it up 3 times. And Arsenal have kept, and all of a sudden, you said as well, if Arsenal had the lead, then you fancied them to go on and do it. Well, they've had all of that, and now still the pressure's on. It's a brilliant game weekend.
Alan, you saw those fixtures there. As you know, as a former manager, are you in that, you know, manager's office, almost trying to realistically think about, okay, we could pick 3 points up here, that might be a draw, that might not go as well as we planned, what's the maximum we can end up on?
Yeah, of course, you're looking at the games with your players, and you know that there's certain games in that run-in that are going to be essential to you. I've never been fighting for the championship, unfortunately, so you can't, you know, they're looking at and want to win them all.
Yeah.
So it's different for them, but there's some tricky fixtures in there. You know, West Ham away for Arsenal and Crystal Palace away in particular.
Newcastle at home as well.
There's some really tough games. So it's not all on Sunday. But psychologically, with the cup final, the result in the cup final, and if Man City do the same job on them on Sunday, then I think the psychological blow will be such that Man City will just drive on.